Welcome to Breathing with Beer in the podcast. It's been a while. Hi to Patrick McDonald, my producer. First, if you like what you hear today on this podcast, please subscribe to my podcast, Breathing with Beerman, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, and also on Pat's Princetonian Now, and also our guest will promote the hell out of it. Okay, today's guest is an artiste in the strongest sense. He's a teacher, a musician, a singer, a movie maker. He has his own production company called Navy Room Productions. And he's in the middle of filming a movie called The Blood Orange, a movie musical about mental health. We'll get more into that. Sounds really uplifting. Please welcome, again, the artiste, Anthony Figliano. Did I say your last name correctly?
Perfect, Adam. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before we even go even further, let's see a clip of your, I think, professional, well done, interesting movie.
Mom, why are you always working so late?
Mommy has an extra special house on the market. But if it sells, I promise to take my two favorite girls on an extra special shopping trip.
Whoa, that was dynamic. That was dynamic. How much money did you spend on that?
That was approximately, to shoot the 10 minutes was $80,000.
Now we're going to get into that, but I want to even know now, what kind of twisted journey does it take for beginning filmmaker? One was talent, but to get that money?
Well, that was money from myself and my college roommate, who we went to Seton Hall together, and we dormed together. And him and I decided to go on a business venture, and we got the funds together, and we shot the first 10 minutes of a film.
Oh my gosh! Are you still friends with your college roommate?
Yes, friends and business partner. Yes.
And of this movie, you say it's about a movie about mental health from the viewpoint of the therapist. Is that it?
It's from the viewpoint of yes, the therapist, but our protagonist is Sweetie, and it's really about her journey. And what the movie does is the movie goes through Sweetie's life, and she is addicted to prescription medication, and she also has a drinking problem, so she's an alcoholic. And the way that the movie is written with these different dimensions of Sweetie in the present day as herself. And then we have our secondary characters who are Sweetie kind of in her early years, her middle years, and then her older. So this almost like a ghost of Christmas past and and future kind of taste to the film.
That's what I dig about it. Showing my age, it's a touchstone, though. There's singing, which everyone can like.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter's one. I think she's watched Chicago 1,000 times. She can sing to anything. I wonder if some people will get into this film. Hopefully, it gets made. I think it will be made. But and just they won't really get into the depth of the story, but just like the music. You think that could happen?
Absolutely. So because the topic is mental illness and mental health, the music has a duality to it. The music is very poppy and very melodic and very upbeat. And that was done by design because we all have a duality to ourselves. Some of the darkest people are or could be the funniest people, making you laugh. And some of the funniest people behind closed door could be some of the darkest people.
Right,
So
right.
I kind of wanted to, I kind of wanted to fill the whole gap of these characters and their personality with not just this story of somebody suffering with anxiety and depression or somebody suffering with addiction, but kind of this upbeat music, so it completes the character. Because the thing that makes the Blood Orange very unique is you were really able to connect with these characters. These characters are us. It's you, it's me, it's everybody that you see every day. Nobody's untouchable or put on a pedestal. Everybody is very real.
Yeah, that's what I got out of that too. When I read about the movie, and that is my dishwasher. I'm sorry. We're low budget studio, but that's what I got about too. Some ways the music is a conduit, and then people can grab onto this because, like, I saw this mother and she looked really together, but she's not really together. She has
Mm.
a nice house. I don't know where the house came from. Is she divorced? She has kids.
Mm.
She's trying to manage. Yeah, she's on different levels of duality. We just don't know what's going on. But then they're so talented, which leads me to say, and I've talked to my daughter about this. There's so many talented actors and actresses out there just trying to get a chance. How did you find this group of people?
Well, there are pros and cons to having a small budget film. One of the pros is I did everything. So there was no casting director. I was the casting director, so I would go on. The main site that I used was Backstage, and that's kind of like the leading talent agency website. And I went and I just searched through clips, and I searched through resumes and videos of acting reels until I finally started to shoot some emails and say, are you interested in auditioning for Sweetie? And I
This is my daughter here. She's an actress, writer, and everything, and she had to put her 2 cents in.
Not professionally. But I was thinking, were you inspired by Next to Normal? Because, it's a musical about a mom with, depression and hallucinations and mental health and all that.
Next to Normal, to be 100% honest, is on my list of films to watch. I haven't actually seen it.
I,
But now that you've given it the plug, I will definitely move that up closer to the top of my list.
Mhm. To get to this film, though, did you have your own childhood trauma? I mean, I don't know you. Again, if I met you and I've only met you briefly, I've talked to you, you seem upbeat, you seem bright and creative. But, is there something up in the attic? Is there some trauma that helped inspire this?
I think we all do. I don't think just like we used the word duality earlier. It's not so black and white. It's we all, some of us could have the best parents in the world and the best childhood in the world, and everything checks out, but there was still that one thing that bothered us that still bothers us 10, 15, 20 years later. There's all sorts of it sounds cliche, but demons in the closet or skeletons in the closet. Everybody has something. And that's kind of like I said before, that was kind of the flavor of the film. Was we all had that thread, we all could connect. So it was written in a way that no matter how severe a trauma from your childhood is, or how unsevere it is, we could connect with Sweetie and her different dimensions.
Yeah, I could, and Want something? No, and also I'm a big believer in you don't have to experience something to write about it. Because I hate when that you have to go through it yourself. I don't believe that. You can put yourself. That's imagination. That's creativity. That's research. You can put yourself in someone else's shoes and then create something like that. But what do you want at the end of the day? You've done the trailer, you've written the script and all that stuff. You wrote most of the music, right?
I wrote all the music. I wrote the screenplay. I wrote the music. I wrote the characters.
You're a triple threat.
I
We're
did
talking
everything.
Emmy, Tony, Oscar, hopefully in the future or something.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. What do you want the audience to feel? Anything? I think you've touched on it, but what do you want them to leave with? If you could point to anything, any words.
um, I would love the audience to feel that this is all of us. We're all in this together. We're all, speaking to a therapist, is becoming increasingly less and less scary. When I was in middle school and high school, that was very taboo. If you spoke to a therapist or a counselor, it was looked at as being weak, especially being, male. You were definitely looked at as, not being tough, quote unquote. So I really want to break that wall that this is all of us. We could, I said it earlier, if you're suffering from something very, very minor, there's still something that's bothering you, or it could be something much more serious, like a drug addiction or schizophrenia, or there's a very big gamut of these mental illnesses. So I want people to walk away from seeing this movie of saying that, well, this is okay because we're all in this. We're all human, all of us.
Um, well, I'm thinking, since you're already fundraising this, what else are you doing to put the word out? Since your music's very poppy, like, are you going to put it on TikTok? Since I know lots of kids these days
Yeah, it's
like poppy
we
music.
do have a TikTok page. The next step in the journey is to get the full movie made, because we have this 10-minute clip, and I don't really it's a private link to view the 10 minutes. Adam, you view the 10 minutes. I'm,
Yes.
I'm trying to
Do
keep
you
it up.
make it private though? Because there's some kind of like so usury rights. What's the word? Uh,
Copyright?
Copyright and everything else. Is that why you don't
Yeah,
want
no,
to?
it's copyrighted. The main reason why I'm keeping it kind of secretive is because it is the opening 10 minutes of the full film, so I don't really want it out there yet. I want the whole film shot, and then I would release the entire film in its entirety. So the next step is to get the whole film made, and we shot May 1st, 2023. So this upcoming May 1st, which is in a few weeks, will be the 2-year anniversary that we shot the 10-minute clip. And in those 2 years, I've edited the film, I've come up with the trailer, and now I am full steam ahead in getting an investor. I must send out, not exaggerating, 10 to 20 emails a day on investors, on production companies, on whoever it is that I could write to get this in their hands to make this film made.
That's where I guess your mental breakdown. I see your talent. I see your passion. This is what you want. You have another life, and we won't get into that. You're married. But now, I mean, how many dead end streets can you hit? The contradictions of this business is crazy. I mean, you haven't finished the film, so we can't give you money. But how can I finish a film if I don't have the money? How many avenues are you going down? And what's the long-term plan and short-term plan?
Um, the long-term plan is I have a stack of scripts and songs that I've written. So after this movie's done, I have the next one already in the works. And the one after that, I have a whole catalog of films, of all film musicals to be specific, that I'm writing or have written already. That's the end goal, is to get all these films made. And the short term goal is to get this 800,000 that I need to shoot the film. Anybody who ever has read anything about films and budgeting and the market, $800,000 in film terms is as low budget as you get. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's friends and family working with you, tight schedule,
yeah,
everything after work,
but we could make it happen. I mean, the 10 minutes was shot by Boaz Freud, who is he's kind of the star of our show. He's the cinematographer. We shot the whole film in 16 millimeter Kodak film stock. The soundtrack was recorded on a reel-to-reel machine, so all
Really, really.
analog.
Oh my gosh.
The soundtrack is complete. The 10 minutes are shot. I was able to secure Gina Turriello, who is who was the assistant director on Barbie, and she was the assistant director on Sons of Anarchy. So we do have people that believe in this. I mean, all the actors, all the talent, especially. I mean, they worked. We paid them, but it wasn't a huge rate, and everybody believes in this. Now it's kind of that pothole, that rocky road driving down, trying to get an investor. The first question that I'm asked anytime I actually get to speak to an investor, and anytime my email is answered, because most of my emails are not even answered, but if I do get an answered email, the first question is, well, what have you done? Where is your resume? What other movies have you done? And the answer to that is, well, I haven't done any yet. This is my first movie, this 10 minutes. And that's kind of when the door shuts.
Hmm. How do you renew yourself? 'Cause my daughter's going. It's so frustrating. How do you renew yourself without trying to be pragmatic, but not pie eye in the sky? I'm getting the feeling though you can't quit because this is you though. Is that true to say?
Correct. You couldn't be more right about that, Adam. It's in your blood. It is in your blood. No is not an option. You just do it. You do it because you love it. I mean, I'll wake up at 4:30 in the morning and start writing. I have a 3-year-old at home, and when he's up at 6:15 every morning on the dot, and just so I don't lose any papa time with him, I wake up at 4:30 and I'll come into the Navy room where I am right now, and I'll write from 4:30 to 6:15, and then I'll have the baby monitor next to me, and then I'll go get him when he wakes up.
And your
And
wife sleeping during all this?
yes.
Is she sleeping? Does she work too? Do you both work?
Yes, we both work. Yes.
Oh my God. And she's supportive though. We're not discussing. I won't see you in 3 years, like on the cover of People magazine, Hollywood tragedy or marriage gone wrong or something.
No, well, I do want to correct you. It is girlfriend, not wife. I'm sorry.
A girlfriend. Okay.
But yes, she works. She's super supportive. She's an artist herself. She is she's a painter and a yoga instructor, and she's extremely, extremely, extremely supportive. And she loves the 10 minutes, and she's heard the entire soundtrack, and she's one of the few people who has read the entire screenplay, all 90 pages of
Oh,
it.
look at you. So like Marx had Engels and Groucho Marx had his other brothers. You have his. Is she kind of does she help you intellectually, inspire you, stimulate?
Correct. Yes, we have very intellectual conversations about when two artists are together, they see things differently. So it's not so it's not so mundane. Our conversations are the farthest thing from mundane. We can sit and her being a painter, she'll really go deep into colors and textures, and me, being a writer and director, I'll go big into color palettes, and
Right.
purple represents seduction and red represents danger, and we'll have these very long discussions on something as simple as an actress wearing a red turtleneck in a movie.
No. That's important though, because I think that stimulates that left side, where the creative side of the brain is. And to me, I hear a song, sometimes I paint pictures in my head when I hear a song. It's its own canvas and everything.
Yeah.
And that's right. Do you? I mean, I don't. I'm not calling you Stephen Sondheim. I don't know much about. Do you have any influences in shooting that film and using your music and how they
Oh,
sing
of
it?
course. My biggest film influence is Stanley Kubrick. And I also love Andrei Tarkovsky, the Russian director. Musically, Mozart always has a very soft spot in my heart because I studied classical music growing up. I'm a huge Beatles fan, so the melody and the harmony of the Beatles is forever in my bloodstream. And I love the Velvet Underground is another was another huge influence for me. I'm a massive Elton John fan, being a pianist, so it's kind of has this like Full Metal Jacket meets uh,
That's
like
yeah.
like a poppy Beatles style song, so
Well, when you say Kubrick, though, when you were filming, when I saw the film with the mother and everything, yeah, it was kind of Kubrick. Come to think of it, the way you followed her and everything. Also, you kind of felt like you were in the room with her, which I
one
found
of the,
interesting.
one of the styles that I love to take in filmmaking, and all my favorite movies kind of follow this same scheme is the classical camera angle where every shot is essentially a painting, and,
Interesting.
and you're holding that shot as long as possible versus very quick shots, where it's like cut and then over the shoulder and over the shoulder and over the shoulder and it goes back and forth. The classical style is much more of, you kind of put the camera there and you hold it as long as you can without a cut, and then of course you make the proper cut when you need to.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, Getting to the bread and butter, the shark part of it. How can you raise money? Well, I was looking at things. You talk about crowdfunding, bartering, profit sharing.
Yeah,
What happened?
absolutely. I mean, any of the investors or producers that I had the pleasure of speaking to, uh, you know, before they closed the door on me with like, "Oh, you don't have a resume," I did mention to them, this film hits a lot of financial categories. I mean, streaming services, obviously that's number one, is because that's, the film being distributed on a streaming service, that's the most profit. But then you have your soundtrack shares, on Spotify and Apple Music and all the streaming platforms, audio streaming platforms, and then there's the merchandising too. I mean, there's four there's four main characters, and all four of them have very different lives and very different, almost fashion senses and color palettes. So I mean, those are three. You have to think like a business person. Those are three very big, money sources, and I've made it clear that I'm willing to profit share. I'm willing to give a very very a very big chunk of the rights of the film, to whoever finances it. In return, though, I would just love the artistic freedom and for nobody to kind of touch the vision that I have.
Yeah, that's always a problem. I mean, hopefully you get that money, but I mean, I hate to be the bump. How many people actually get this money and get these films made? I mean, I hear about the ones who've become famous, like the Linkletters and stuff like that. But how many people can get that far, or do they get lucky? They have talent, they meet the right person, the timing works out, and
Yes,
the launch.
you just have to keep on, you just have to keep on hustling, and you just have to keep on walking through the trenches in the mud. There is no answer.
No magic bullet, no selling your kid's liver or something or kidney or no.
Yeah, you just have to keep on going. All I need is one person. I mean, even if I had two investors, and they said, we'll give you $400,000 each. And, a contract is written, a legal contract, and they have, a majority share in the film. Me and my college roommate, Michael Slachinsky, him and I, putting in that $80,000. I mean, you don't get more skin in the game than that.
That's one thing I do like, though. They would always ask, "Why don't you put your money in?" And you have,
Yeah,
you
I
really
have.
have. Yeah, you talk the talk and walk the walk, and with a somewhat finished product, which impressed
Yeah,
me. 'Cause I wouldn't even be talking to you right now if it didn't. I was
yeah.
actually wowed by that, to be honest
Thank
with you.
you, thank you. Yeah, it's anybody who has actually watched the 10-minute clip, because I have sent the private 10-minute clip to a few producers and a few investors, and they all loved it. But again, when the question is, well, what else have you done? When that question gets risen, that's kind of really what's hurt me. But everybody at one point had no resume. Everybody.
If they couldn't, right,
I
right.
mean, I mean, Jack Nicholson at one time in his life had no resume.
Oh yeah, I remember his agent said, "Quit, give up. You're terrible." I remember seeing him on the Andy Griffith show and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
yeah.
it's the list goes on and on. Ringo Starr famously says in his interviews, the Beatles were the most rejected band in Liverpool because nobody wanted them, and
Right, right.
man, did that work out for them.
I've often found, though, it's very subjective. People have their own biases, their own take. They want to sound important. They'll say something demonstrative like that. Good, like, never going to sell, never going to sell.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot to say for tenacity and talent, and then and then good luck is talent meeting good timing and everything. And hopefully that would happen with you. Hopefully.
It's very similar to the story of Sylvester Stallone. He was basically had the Rocky script in his back pocket, and everybody turned him down. And the people that didn't turn him down offered to buy the script, but they wanted to cast somebody else as Rocky.
Brian O'Neill was one of them. Even Robert Redford. And I remember he said, "I'll take the script and bury it in my backyard. I just can't do it." I mean, he did. I'm not saying you should do porno. He did some porno to pay. He was
Yeah,
starving to pay
yeah,
the rent and everything. That is, yeah. I'm not saying you have to go, but you have to have that single-minded, almost mercenary tenacity.
correct.
Sometimes to make
Yeah,
it.
you just have to be, you have to follow momentum. That's kind of like been my mantra.
Right.
I wrote the film. It took me a few years to write it. I got it down. I wrote the music. I found the band. I recorded it. I cast it. I got the money between Michael Zaczynski and I, and we just the momentum kept going and going and going. And now I have, now we have the finished product. We're hitting about 2 years. My phone is ringing around the clock from the cast and the crew and everybody who shot the
Hope,
10 minutes saying, like, let's go. When are we doing this? Like,
hope to hold on.
everybody wants to do it. And that's kind of been my famous text messages back to them is, hold on, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So,
Right. Uh, we have some questions for the crowd, and then I want you to give your, if people want to contribute money, right? Anything else, have comments, you can go over that. But I asked Princetonians from the street, some I know, some I don't know. I told them about you, and they said, "Oh, singing." What they wanted to know? How did you get into? You always went into music. What's the Anthony story in music?
I started. Yes, I've always been in music. I was not a prodigy by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't have musical parents. I took violin lessons when I was at Hillside School in the Bridgewater Raritan school district in New Jersey. I did it for 1 year. I didn't really love the violin. I put it away. I didn't touch music until I was about 12 or 13. My dad bought me a cheap guitar. I started taking guitar lessons. And then throughout school, through high school, I was in all sorts of garage bands, and I was, all these rock and roll bands. And And somehow no matter what band I was in or who I was playing with, I was always the primary songwriter.
Mhm.
So I just kind of taught myself how to write songs, and I just listened to a lot of music. I kind of made my own education on music. I would just come home from school and everybody would, do their thing after school, and I would just come home and I would just listen to records. I started a vinyl collection way before it was cool to start a vinyl collection now, and I would just listen to records and I wrote songs. So when lockdown happened 20 years after high school, I found that I had this music bench with a lot of songs that I wrote, and I started to pick through the songs, and those songs were the meat and potatoes of the Blood Orange.
Beautiful. People want to reach you. I know. What's the best way to reach you? Your website.
Navy Room. I'm in the Navy Room right now. The Navy Room is a building that is off the side of my house in Princeton. It is navy blue. Navy blue is my favorite color. So Navy Room Productions. It's
LLC.com.
LLC.com, TikTok, Navy Room Productions, Instagram, Navy Room Productions, YouTube, Navy Room Productions, and the Blood Orange is on IMDb. The Blood Orange 2025.
I saw that.
I have put it out there in the universe that the movie will be released in November 2025. So if I could get this financing and we film it over the summer or even into the fall and get it edited, I have a very clear vision. So editing normally doesn't take as long because I really everything's kind of already premeditated on how it's going to go. I think if I got the money, yes, we could shoot it and have it released by November.
Get the green and you can get mean. Anthony Figliano. I like to maybe afterwards when it's we can meet. We both live in Princeton right now. This is Anthony Figliano. Give him $800,000. I'm going to pray to the cosmos or to the better half of our angels that might happen. Maybe you can contact Elton John. I know he's a business end.
Yeah.
How do you meet someone like that though? I don't know. And it's assistant or something. But it's been great talking to you, and maybe we can follow up once the movie gets started to make. I mean, I'm not going anyplace. I'm still in the phone book and everything.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And that's been another amazing Breezing with Beer.